Greetings viewers. As some of you may be aware, there was a recent incident in the Mediterranean involving an altercation between a pleasure boat and the Israeli military. On board this pleasure boat was none other than former US Congresswoman Cynthia McKinney. This has been propagated by CNN, which is part of the allegedly pro-Israel Western media, and has spread like wildfire across blogs and forums across the internet, mainly targeting the anti-war and truth movements. I'm going to be analysing this and showing you that it's a clever bit of propaganda, very cunning propaganda in fact. And you may want to pause this video and go to the links in my description column and watch these videos unmodified, because what I'm going to be doing is putting text over them and interrupting them occasionally with commentary. Here we go.
The Israelis have put out that it was an accident, that the Dignity was trying to outmaneuver those Israeli patrol boats. That just did not happen on the boat where I was. And sorry to say it in such emphatic terms, but this is what I saw.
Why is this professional journalist apologising for being emphatic, if that is indeed what he saw?
The hours of night, there were very heavy seas. The Dignity was moving at about 12 knots an hour, and for about half an hour, Israeli patrol boats, I believe there were two, there could have been more, were shadowing the Dignity. They moved behind, they moved to the sides, they moved across the front. These Israeli patrol boats are powerful, they're fast, they're sophisticated, and they are highly maneuverable. Now, after about half an hour, one of those Israeli patrol boats had a spotlight beam focused on the Dignity. The Dignity had all its lights on. And then the other Israeli patrol boat with no lights on at all came and rammed the front section of the boat. That caused the windows around the wheelhouse to shatter. It also caused part of the roof to peel back, and the hull was also punctured.
A deliberate military attack on a civilian boat is a serious matter. Why then have those promoting this theory not provided us with any video footage? Or are we to believe that a CNN correspondent and all the activists on board that boat, between them, didn't have a video camera?
The captain says he received no prior warning from the Israelis in the whole half hour that they were shadowing the boat. Only afterwards did the patrol boat get in touch and say that they did this action, they carried out this incident, the ramming, because they believed the Dignity was engaged in terrorist activities.
Are we expected to believe, just on the word of this man, that the Israelis rammed a suspected terrorist boat, which may well have been packed with explosives, thus risking blowing themselves up? Again, please provide some evidence. Where's the video footage?
At that point, the captain, fearful that the boat was going to take on water, that the damage was even more severe, he sent out a Mayday distress signal. And then other members of the crew came back into the passenger area, issued us with life jackets, and said, get ready to take to the life rafts. They were within seconds of launching the life rafts into the Mediterranean, abandoning ship, because they feared that the damage to the hull was too great and that the ship would simply go down. In fact, after a few moments, the crew worked feverishly and managed to get the bilge pumps working, and that managed to get the water out of the hull and enabled us to continue going. But the captain says at no stage did he try and outmaneuver Israeli patrol boats. This vessel moves at 12 knots. Those Israeli patrol boats move much faster.
Those directing this mission and those on it must have realised that an altercation with the Israeli military was inevitable. Did the captain of this boat try and contact the Israeli boats? Did he not consider outmanoeuvring them if he wanted his mission to get humanitarian aid to the Gazans to be successful? Or could it be that they were rather more interested in creating a media spectacle than in aiding the Gazan Arabs?
He's an experienced captain, he knew what he was up against, and he continued on his course to Gaza.
So an experienced captain who knew what he was up against, after having his boat rammed by the Israelis, and having it apparently severely damaged, his little pleasure boat, continues on his course for Gaza, but yet somehow ends up in Lebanon. War is peace, freedom is slavery.
Intention was, of course, to deliver 3 tons of medical supplies to Gaza and also take some of the passengers, who included Cynthia McKinney, a former US Congresswoman, a Cypriot MP, and a number of surgeons and doctors, to deliver all those to Gaza to help with the brewing humanitarian crisis there.
I suppose it would be naive for one to ask why these noble humanitarians, political activists and medical professionals chose this route to get to Gaza. Why did they not go through Egypt, which has apparently said it would allow humanitarian aid across its border? But then again, going via Egypt would ensure that an altercation with the Israeli military was highly unlikely, wouldn't it? Let's hear what former US Congresswoman Cynthia McKinney has to say about this.
Our boat was rammed 3 times, twice in the front and 1 on the side. But let me also state for the record that what we experienced earlier today pales in comparison to what the people of Gaza are experiencing right now.
It also pales into comparison compared with what the Gazans have been putting up with under Hamas, and Fatah for that matter, for years. It also pales in comparison with what the Israelis, particularly in Sderot, have been putting up with for years. Notice how this clever politician is setting herself up as a martyr, albeit a humble one.
As we do this interview,
right, but
our mission was a peaceful mission to deliver medical supplies, and our mission was thwarted by the Israelis, the aggressiveness of the Israeli military. Now, one of the things that I would like to ask President-elect Obama is to say something, please, about the humanitarian crisis that is being experienced right now by the people of Gaza.
Obama is unlikely to say anything meaningful anyway, because, like this doctored photo of Bush, it gives the impression that he's a puppet of the Israelis. He's an even slicker operator than you, Cynthia.
I would like to ask my former colleagues in the United States Congress to stop sending weapons of mass destruction around the world.
So the Israelis are using weapons of mass destruction now. This would be high comedy if it wasn't for the fact that the anti-war and truth movements are taking it so seriously.
As we are about to celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, let us remember what he said. He said that the United States was the greatest purveyor of violence on the planet.
He also spoke out against the Soviet Union and oppression generally, though for obvious reasons his focus was on the United States. And this is what he had to say about Israel. Peace for Israel means security, and we must stand with all our might to protect its right to exist, its territorial integrity. I see Israel as one of the great outposts of democracy in the world, and a marvellous example of what can be done, how desert land can be transformed into an oasis of brotherhood and democracy. Peace for Israel means security, and that security must be a reality. McKinney has much to learn.
And guess what? We experienced a little bit of that violence because the weapons that are being used by Israel are weapons that have been supplied by the United States government.
Congresswoman McKinney, if I could you describe what happened? Was there any warning given by the Israeli patrol boats? We're hearing some reports out of Israel that they were trying to stop you from coming into Israeli waters, and that the Dignity, the captain of the Dignity, tried to maneuver around the boat, and that's when the collision occurred.
As you can see, I'm standing beside a pleasure boat. What the Israelis are saying is outright disinformation. But I recall that there was another boat that was attacked by Israelis, and it was the USS Liberty. And
a discussion of the Israeli attack on the most advanced spy ship of its kind in the world at the time, the NSA-directed USS Liberty, is unfortunately beyond the scope of this video. I make some notes and links in my description column for those who wish to do further research. Suffice to say, that incident has absolutely nothing to do with this incident with the Dignity.
People would like to forget about the USS Liberty, but I haven't forgotten about it, and the people who were on that ship have not forgotten about what happened to them. And what happened to us last night was a direct threat to our mission, but not our cause.
She's right there. Their cause was clearly to generate a media spectacle, and it had nothing to do with humanitarian aid to the Gazan Arabs. And in that mission, the CIA, oh I do beg your pardon, CNN, have aided them no end. A lot of you people who call yourselves truthers, consider yourselves a part of the truth movement, or the anti-war movement, or whatever you want to call it, really need to wake up and stop blindly following these Pied Pipers which the global counterintelligence agencies put there for you. Catch yous later.